Session 6. Okay, let me share the screen with you. There, this is what you've got in your, this is what you've got as well, Session 6. And there's the worksheets to be completed before the class, which we're going to go through, and reading the Ruth whole book and complete the boxes on the circulatory and lymph. And of course, don't forget to practice. So we have this case study here, Evelyn, and there she is with her little grandson. She's 74, widowed, 20 years ago, lives alone. And you can see there, she's been a very active woman, run her own hairdressing business. She volunteers 4 mornings a week and she drives her own car. So she's an active woman, and until 6 years ago, and then she got neck, back and shoulder problems because she'd been standing up for years. Not surprising as being a hairdresser. They often do that and have repetitive strain as well. She takes glucosamine and cod liver oil occasionally, and the magnetic bracelet is a good one that you may know about, and if you don't, it'd be a good idea to find out about it, because people do get relief from their arthritis. I knew a farmer and he used to wear a magnetic necklace of all things, and he was not a sort of person to believe in any woo-woo nonsense, but he heard about it, tried it, and it enabled him to put his socks on in the morning. So it's worth looking into. So her back and shoulder are getting worse for lifting up her grandson, Jack, and she's concerned that as he gets heavier, she might not be able to look after him so well, because she helps her daughter out by giving her a break 3 times a week while she goes horse riding. And she's got problems with her thumb, her car's been broken into. So you've got a real good overview here of this lady. So we're looking for 4 key factors to be considered when preparing the treatment plan for her. Now, you could all have various factors, and your tutor will be going over this and can come up with more. But the factors to consider is the time, the date. The time would be important, because she hasn't got much in the way of free time, has she? Because she works voluntarily. She looks after the little grandson. So that would be something. I would also factor in the fact that she is in her 70s and she's got these back and shoulder problems. So make sure that your seating arrangement is good, because as you get older, you certainly do like a cushion in your back. I think everybody does, but I think maybe particularly as you get older, make sure her knees are well supported. So you'd be looking at her shoulder reflexes, wouldn't you? And her back reflexes, because that's where she's got the problem. You'd be looking at the stress reflexes, because she is showing signs of stress, as it says here. So you'd be looking at the stress reflexes and wanting to do something about that. And maybe looking up where the hand reflex would be to help with her thumbs. So that would be something. So there's the skeletal there with her thumb. So that would be something to consider, wouldn't it, for a treatment plan? You might be thinking of lots of more. So in here, you can just make a mark and colour in where she would need some extra help. And I would colour in the shoulder here and around the neck here, all around here, on both sides, her neck and her shoulders, and her back along here. And oops, how's it gone like that? Oh, what's it doing? And along, and along here. What else? You'd go back and have a look. Yeah, so I think the associated reflex that I would immediately think of is the adrenal glands that are sitting just above the kidneys, because that produces your body's own cortisol, which is the pain and inflammation relief. So definitely there. Now the reflexes, which is just say your tutor will go through. So you've got the shoulder reflex, and the reason is because she's got pain in the shoulder, and the associated one would be the neck and the arm, and or the adrenal gland, you see, because they're all connected, aren't they? So and the stress reflexes, I would definitely look at the diaphragm that's along here, and also the solar plexus here, it's in the middle here. Different charts will show the solar plexus in a different area, so we won't be worried about it, and that's something we look at later. The brain is also one to look at for stress. So there you go. You can mark off the spine here as well, and the shoulders, the neck and the shoulders here. State 2 common causes of or triggers of stress for this client. Well, I would think of the fact that her car's been broken into a couple of times. That's a big stress, isn't it? And that she's worried about her grandson, that it's causing her a problem with her neck, and then she's a bit worried she won't be able to help her daughter out and see the grandson. There would be other triggers, and you can put those down. How do people sometimes show they are stressed or agitated? There are so many ways they can be, and I'm sure that you could put anything here, couldn't you? Sometimes people fidget, sometimes people talk too much, sometimes people don't talk at all, sometimes people get angry, sometimes people just go in on themselves and they don't take part in anything. Yeah, and they not always communicating very well. Sometimes they're not taking care of themselves either, because their mind is full of the things that's stressing them. So the reflexology treatment is to be in the client's own home. Give 2 suggestions how you can make it comfortable. Well, I would think, again, the cushions, really, to make it nice and comfortable for her, using her own cushions, and a little blanket in case it's, sometimes people might get a bit cool as they're lying there. You could ask if it's okay to dim the lights. You could take along some music with you, or use their music. If they're a regular client, they might have some music that they like to play. I've had somebody play like Nat King Cole music when I've been there, because that's what they wanted, and that's perfectly fine. But if you've got a little music box that you can take along, then all to the good. You could ask them that, say to them that you're going to turn your phone off, because having the phone on, their phone on, and if it rings, can sometimes cause a bit of stress for them. So if they haven't thought of it, so it has to be done in a nice way, that you're not just telling them what to do, obviously, as I'm sure you wouldn't. It says here the reflexologist has chosen to give extra attention to the diaphragm and solar plexus, to promote relaxation. And one positive effect of working both these reflexes, well, it's going to help their stress, because they are the stress reflexes. They are the main ones, really, diaphragm and solar plexus. And if someone's under stress and they're very anxious, their diaphragm can get very, very tight. And the diaphragm sits just underneath the chest, and it's a dome-shaped muscle. And if that gets tight and your intercostal muscles get tight, some people can end up in hospital thinking they've got a heart attack, and it's actually the muscles that are giving them that feeling of the pain. So it's going to help relieve the tension and relax so they'll be breathing easier. Okay, we've now got Ronald, and he's 76, retired mine worker, lives in South Yorkshire. Hobbies include, can I just say, could you just, yeah, so we've got his medical history, and he's very busy. He maintains a small garden. He likes to holiday abroad 6 times a year, and he's got hobbies, and he's generally well. He smokes a pipe. He gets colds in the winter, and he's been admitted to hospital for an X-ray relating to bronchitis. So he has a enlarged prostate, which causes him problems with passing urine. And he's got very high blood pressure, which is monitored every month. So he's going to the doctor regularly. He's getting regularly checked for his diabetes, and he's controlling his carbohydrate intake. So he's looking after himself quite well in lots of ways, and keeping busy. He's got extra lower back pain, and because he's put on an extra stone in weight, he thinks that's the cause of the back pain. So key factors to consider when preparing the treatment plan. So you could consider his comfort, definitely, because he's got a lower back pain. So you'd want to make absolutely sure that he was comfortable in the chair. You'd be looking at his the overall, really, for high blood pressure, that's all the stress reflexes, but overall, it's an overall treatment really for high blood pressure. His prostate you can work on that's the inside of the heel. That's where the prostate and the uterus is. So you could work on that there, and on the whole of the urinary system. The prostate surrounds the urethra. Now you've got the kidneys, and then you've got the 2 ureters. They go into the bladder, and then there's the urethra that goes to the outside world, and it's longer in men than in women, which is why women get more cystitis. And surrounding this urethra, this pipe where the urine goes, is the prostate. And if that's enlarged, you can imagine that would make you keep wanting to do a wee. So that's why men, as they get older, the prostate gets large, and they need to keep going to the toilet. So we're looking at the reflexes here, and what one would you work on for Ronald? And he's got the prostate, he's got lower back pain, and the chest. So really what we would be looking at, all the chest reflexes here, the lower back pain here, the stress reflexes for the high blood pressure, the diaphragm, solar plexus, the brain again. Be looking at the adrenal gland again. This is where you're going to just be learning so much as you do your case studies and go through all these, because you'll find how handy the adrenal gland is, because that helps with pain and inflammation, and that inflammation causes just about every problem. So here you're going to write down the reflex and the reason why. So the lung reflex, because of the coughing he's got, and the bronchial problems, and you're going to look at his lower spine because of the problems that he's got there. And yeah, so you just go through this and see what he needs. Now, see his breathing, you could look up the other reflexes. So we've got his throat and his esophagus, and the esophagus actually isn't on the and the trachea isn't on the trachea for the breathing isn't on the chart that we use, but you're going to be having access to a fantastic range of worksheets that will, well, they're not worksheets, they're handouts that show you where all these other ones are on the digestive system, where the hand is, where all the tiny reflexes that you think, well, where's that then? Where's the foot reflex? Where's this? Where's that? And these are ones that your tutor will go over in the class, but it would be nice for you to see it on there, laid out on a piece of paper. These aren't that we've done, they're taken from a book, and we've told you which book they've come from. And yeah, so you'll be able to find all these little reflexes in time. And it just builds up. At the moment, you're just building up the main foot reflexes. And then as time goes on, you'll then learn where all these other little reflexes are, as you do your clients, you see, because you can't just learn it all at once. But for each client, if they've got that hand problem, you'll look it up and see where it is. So you don't just look all of them up and try and remember them, because you won't. So what is bronchitis? And the way to do that, what I would do is, if you put in define bronchitis in here, it tells you in the dictionary. So you put define bronchitis in Google, and it tells you that it's an inflammation of the mucous membrane in the bronchial tubes. It typically causes bronchospasm and coughing. So that's a way to find out what is bronchitis. So you've got the trachea coming from your throat, and then it branches out into the bronchi. There's two of them going this way into the lungs, and that's the inflammation of the bronchus. So itis is always inflammation. So one trigger that could aggravate his bronchitis, well, he smokes a pipe, but he also, so that's a trigger, but he used to work down the mine. So that would, so the trigger is something that he's had a problem in the past. So yeah, it would be up to him about smoking the pipe. I'm sure he knows what that does and what it doesn't do. So how could you make him more comfortable? Well, again, it's just making sure that it's comfortable in the chair, that it's got the foot, that the feet are comfortable at the right height for him, his knees are well supported, back well supported, head well supported. It's really making sure that the client is comfortable, because otherwise, whatever treatment you do, they're going to lie there thinking, oh, my knees or my back. And no matter how old they are, some of the younger people really suffer with the back and the knees. So explain the anticipated benefit of giving special attention to Ronald's thoracic spine. Well, the thoracic spine is the one that's in the same place as your ribs, but on the back here. And the spine has nerves in it that go out to the rest of your body. And those nerves particularly go to this top bit here where your lungs are. So that's why it's going to help, because it's the lungs are going to the spine. Now you're going to like this one. This is the Reflexology and Business Project, and you don't need to write up reams. And the idea is that you go for treatment. You go for treatment to someone that you haven't been before, and it's a reflexology treatment. It's really important that it's reflexology, and it's important that you haven't been before, because what you're doing is finding out what it's like to phone up a stranger for a treatment. And how did you find them? Did you find them by word of mouth? Did you find them in the shop window? Did you find them by Googling? Was it clear how to find them? And what will happen is that you'll make some brief notes, and we'll give you a form that's on here to make those notes, and you discuss it in the class. And it's not to name and shame, but it's to show what you wouldn't do and what you would do, so you can get some good, really good things come out of it and some surprises come out of it. So as you are aware now, the consultation starts with that phone call. So how was that? Did they make you feel comfortable? Could you make an appointment time that suited you? Could you find the place easily? Was it in a very noisy hairdresser's? And then you can hear everybody laughing and shouting outside. Not shouting so much, but talking in a very loud voice and not giving a clue that actually someone's having a treatment there. And I've had a treatment in a noisy salon or a hairdresser's it was, and it wasn't very good actually, because of that, because of the noise. That's the only reason. People were just laughing outside the door. So if they came to you, what was it like when they came? Did they bring their equipment? Did you know what to expect? And did you feel comfortable with them coming into your home, and how they set up the room, the way they conducted the consultation? And it's nice if they've got their own treatment room to see their certificates on the walls. Clients really like that. And so then you note things like that. You think, oh yeah, I did actually appreciate that. And that they gave you some aftercare advice. If they gave you a sheet, or was it just verbal? Were they proactive in getting you to come back? Did they get out their diary? So you're just going to look at the best points of that. So I think collecting brochures now, I don't think so many, because of so many people, they may have them, but it's not so easy as it used to be to collect. But what you need to do is make a note of the websites, make a note of any calls you made. And we're only asking for like 2 or 3. We're not asking for, like 30 people. But if you do it in your area, you'll find out what's going on in your area and what they offer. And so these are the notes. These are pretty self-explanatory. So you just write in there, handwrite in there, tips you will remember. And then when it comes to the class and someone else has said, oh, they did this, oh, they warmed up the towels, or they had nice hot flannels, or all sorts of things, or what I won't be doing. Maybe they, I don't know, had their jeans and a t-shirt on and you just felt that they hadn't bothered to get ready for you. You may like that casualness. And in that case, if that's the way you want to work, that's absolutely fine. And you will attract people who are like-minded. So there's no one size fits all. As you probably realise, the charts are all different, and there's many different reasons why. There's a wide variety of ideas of where different reflexes are. The heart can be in different places. Usually the digestive system is round about in the same place, but don't get too bogged down for it. And as it says there, the foot is not an anatomically correct reflection of the body. Our body is pretty messy inside and it moves around. And the thing is, if you work very, very carefully and do tiny little bites, then you will hit the reflex no matter where you think it is. And if you go back to the areas where there's congestion, or it was a bit painful for them, or you felt something different, it doesn't matter actually what it is, does it? Because it's balancing the whole body. And one of the reasons, of course, is copyright, because you can't just copy it and then call it your own. And the focus of our intent is also, if you don't get bogged down in, oh, I can't find exactly where this reflex is, it's where you think as well. And that's not a get out, that is quite a common way for therapists to think, because the intent is also part of giving the treatment what you intend to do, the positivity. So here we've got referral areas called cross reflexes, and this can be just completely copied out of the Ruth Holt book. You've got page 16, and you can't go wrong really, because she because it's all in here. So you just copy that out onto there, and there you've got Lynn Booth demonstrating, and she's on the reflexes. Maybe I can't quite see where she is there. She seems to be by the outer ankle there. But for instance, you could hold the shoulder. Actually, she's probably doing the shoulder and the hip. So yeah, so you can actually use another part of the body when, or the foot, when you can't get to the part that you need to, or when you won't then be overworking a part. So if it was the shoulder and you've done it enough times, then you go to the referral area for to give it a bit more treatment without overdoing the actual shoulder. So there you go. That's session 6, and you'll be discussing it in class, and we look forward to seeing you soon.